Hello and welcome to A Life of Creation. My name is Chad and I am the host of this channel. Tonight we get to talk to my good friend Jeremy Welsh, who is a real estate agent, a really good musician, guitar player, and he does woodworking. He's a father, husband, and many years of experience doing several different types of creations throughout his life. So let's hear his answers to the 10 questions. Just use an overlay. All right. Well, welcome again here to A Life of Creation. I'm talking to Jeremy Welsh, and he is going to answer the 10 questions. So,
10 questions.
question 1. What does it mean to you to live a life of creation?
Kind of a tough question, right? Like, what is the meaning of life? But
Hey,
I think
start
I
off with
think
a bang.
I think creation is, yeah. Would it be a big bang or like anyway? So creation is for me like if we're not doing something, we're not creating something. What are we doing? We're just kind of like eh, just living, right? And like we were talking about earlier, creating like the perfect line on a wave, whatever, when you're surfing, or finding the perfect piece of wood to make a ukulele out of. Um, that you can do that. Like living a life of creation is like just consistently looking to make something new or adjust something, or if we're talking about a recipe, adjust the recipe to yourself. It's fun, and it's not just for us. I mean, we get a lot of enjoyment out of it, but when cooking, everybody gets to enjoy it, and there's a little bit of selfishness in that as well, where if they like it, it's like, yeah, I did that, you know. And that's not a bad thing. Or making a guitar or playing a guitar and people like it
Right.
and love it, that's like something cool. Like it fills us. If we're doing it outward, if we're doing it just inside our living room or whatever, same thing. Like it that's a cool tone. I love a drop C, whatever. It's good. That to me, I mean, that's probably a question that could be talked about over a scotch for a long time.
Yeah. Or,
Get more and
or,
more drawn out.
yeah. Or a cigar or a pipe or, just something
Yeah,
that makes you stop and contemplate things.
yeah, exactly. I need to get into cigars again.
Yeah. I've recently poked my head around in that world a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see if the heartburn will come back.
It probably would.
It will.
Um, I mean, there's something. I think part of living a life of creation is creating the space to do it too. And
Yeah,
I do think, or having a chance to stop and think about things. And
right.
I think a cigar or a pipe or a drink or sparkling water, something
Yeah,
that makes you pause from your
right.
busyness of life.
Yeah,
That's usually when the gears turn creatively.
right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, or when you find yourself in a hole, you
Yeah,
need to get out.
you gotta get out.
You got
I
to get
mean,
out somehow.
a life of creation is almost living a life of self-medication too.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah.
you,
That
you
makes
know,
sense.
dealing with your own mental health.
Yeah,
You're doing stuff sometimes just for yourself because you have to, or
yeah,
else you're gonna go
yeah,
crazy. So,
yeah. You're gonna go nuts, and you're just trying to, yeah, self medication. I like that. I used to
maybe,
do a lot of that.
yeah. I think most creators have probably done that at some point
Yeah,
in some
yeah,
shape or
yeah. Some medium.
yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
for sure.
it usually is bodily harm
Yeah,
of some,
yep. That's true.
like I mean, even like extreme sports, skateboarding, surfing,
Yeah,
that all takes a toll on your body. I
yeah.
remember playing in punk bands. I could barely walk the next day sometimes.
Running into walls,
Yeah,
that
just
kind of stuff. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I got
I
knocked
get you.
out by a mic. You know,
Oh boy.
put a dent in my kneecap.
Oh.
You all for the sake of the music.
Music's not supposed to hurt that way.
Well,
Supposed to hurt other ways.
it's debatable. It's debatable.
Yeah, true, true. I got you.
Question number two. I believe that everyone is made to create. I think it is one of our purposes as human beings. There is the glamorous side of creation, like artists, musicians, creatives. But I think there is a lot of value in the workman's approach to creation as well. What are areas you see the value in creation but are often underrated or not even acknowledged as creation?
I think there's probably a lot of things, but like if you're talking about like workman's approach, like a 9 to 5 kind of a thing, you're coming home and you're doing it on your own, and cooking again, like cooking isn't really often looked at as creation,
Right.
but you can come up with some really bad creation recipes. Um, my One of my roommates, who happened to be my brother-in-law, used to make fisherman's stew. It was disgusting. It was a can of tuna fish in just boiled water, and he called it stew. I'm like, we got to figure this out. We got to do something else. Yeah, and you don't like fish at all.
I just threw up a little bit in my mouth.
Yeah,
Oh,
but getting like taking something as plain or bland. I do like tuna. I like fish. Just taking something as bland as that and making it into something so much better. I think that's often overlooked.
yeah,
And or if you're in a musical setting and you're just droning like a low D or something on the bass, it's not very creative, but it makes the song. Therefore, it is creative and makes it so much different than if you were to be bouncing all over the place and in certain things.
right.
So like that doesn't look like creativity. We're just playing one chord for the entire song in the background
And that's
and
usually
make
the
it.
best thing in the song.
Yeah, that's the thing that everyone's like, that's why it's different.
Yeah,
Huh. Okay. You're just playing a C sharp while everyone else is playing everything else. Like,
right.
yeah, on a violin or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, like, I
doesn't
love
matter.
bass. I love bass.
Yeah.
This is great.
It's so easy, but it's not at the same time. It's not at all.
Definitely not easy. Um,
Not if you're doing it right.
yeah. My neighbor is a very good bass player, and
Yeah.
he definitely does it right.
Yeah.
and,
And
and
it's
you're a very
nice.
good bass player, so
How do you get your, wait, you did what?
yeah, I like
I'm
the
trying
whole
to,
notes.
Yeah, I do too, but I'm trying to learn this song. Well, it's a cover of "Stand by Me" by a guy named Steven Wilson Jr. It's amazing, and I'm trying to figure out all the little intricacies on his tuning, which is drop C, and like all the high stuff that he's doing with the low stuff. Like it's just so interesting, and it's so simple and so difficult at the same time.
Right.
You know, just mixing all those things together, which I think a lot of like probably 95% of people who listen to music won't go that deep.
No.
They'll just be like, I'm going to listen to this song and it's cool. Yeah, great, cool.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
And I think bass players in general are notoriously underrated.
I agree. I agree because that's like that's the one thing that you don't notice is there usually
Right.
until it's not, and then you're like, there's something missing. What is it? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's me. That's who's missing, or that's what's missing. And then it's just, I think it's the most important instrument. on the stage personally.
I mean, it's huge. Yeah, you don't if they're doing their job, you don't notice it
Yeah.
when they are like
There
if
we go.
they're not there, the bass player's
Yeah.
not there. You definitely miss something.
Yeah, you know it's not right. You just don't know what it is. If you're not a musician,
Right.
you just don't know, especially like those little walking things and
Yeah.
the melodies and the harmonies that are being done.
Yeah.
So
But you
that's often underrated.
yeah, but you really notice when they hit something wrong.
You'd notice, yeah, especially like just a big whole note that's like
Shakes the
three three
whole
bars
building.
off. Yeah, for sure. That's my favorite. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe add some reverb and some delay to it so you can hear it over and over again. Yeah, and just droning.
That sounds like my songs.
I like your songs. I like your songs a lot.
Well, thank you. That makes one of you.
Oh, you don't even like your own?
Usually not. Question number 3. Do you believe you need to be passionate about what you create?
Yes, I think you do. I think you do. And that's, kind of going back to the like building something, right? And if somebody um asks me to build this specific thing at with I need this angle to be perfect, I need this, I need that, I need that. I'm not passionate anymore at all. If it happens to happen that way and it's like really cool and perfect and the angles work and the pulpit stands, that's rad. That's cool. And I'm super passionate about making that work. But then it just kind of like someone like you that can just go out and take awesome pictures quickly, just go click, 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 no problem. Then it just becomes a job, just like anything else. It's like selling real estate or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
a job. So I do think you need to be passionate. And even I pass over like selling real estate. Like I'm passionate about that
Right.
for sure because of the relationships
Right.
that are built. Not necessarily. I mean, obviously, making money is great, but the relationships that come along with all of that is even greater for me. So
Yeah.
yes, I could have just said yes and left it there,
Yeah.
but
Well, I think you touched on something though, because I kind of was thinking no, because I am in a creative job, and I'm not always passionate about what I'm shooting.
right,
But something you hit on was, there's you may not be certainly passionate about a specific thing, but you're passionate about something that's tied into it.
right,
So so for me, shooting t-shirts all day, I'm not passionate about that. But I'm passionate about working for my team, with my team. I like to light things and
right.
I like to check things off of my to-do list and stuff.
Mhm.
So maybe it really is like you do need passion in
Mhm.
some aspect of what you are doing. Because
Yeah, yeah,
it may be hard to do your task if you really don't care at
right.
all.
Yeah, if you don't care, it's just like, whatever.
Right.
Let's move on. You know. Uh,
Right.
so yeah, I do think you need to be passionate. I think, but I'm also like a really passionate guy to begin with,
Right.
um, about everything. So, I'm a passionate driver.
Yes, you are.
You know? I like it when people drive the same way that I do. No, that's absolutely true. But um, yeah, I mean, passion just kind of rules my life.
That's called flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, I think chaos is the other word for it too.
Yeah. I thrive in chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
So, question number 4. So, I don't think your creation has to be good to grow from it. I am certainly not great at everything, but What are some things you create that might not be considered great, but something that you still gain value from the creation? And do you have any words of encouragement for those who get discouraged when their creations fall short of their expectations?
Um, so first part of that question, um, I don't think creation has to be good right off the bat either. It's something that you're doing because, going off that last question, do you need to be passionate? It's something that you're doing because you're passionate about it, and you just keep on moving and keep on trying. And I think a big part of creation is failing at it and failing at it and failing at it and failing at it. And that's why you just got to keep on going. When I first started playing guitar, I would just beat the crap out of the guitar and not be in rhythm, definitely not be in tune and all that kind of stuff. And I failed for, man, God, I'm old. 25 years I've been playing. And it's not until the last few years that I'm like, I'm actually a pretty good guitar player now. And it's fun. And I've got the guitar with which one? That one has a hole in it because I've played so much. like and I failed a lot on it. And kind of a word of encouragement for those that get discouraged when whatever it is they're making. When it's wood. So a lot of people um, will come in and want to help make something or want me to make something with them or whatever and teach them. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. We get to hang out. It goes back to relationship, but they're super careful about everything. Every little piece they choose, everything. And my attitude to that is, it's only wood. We can fix it. You make a bad cut, it's only wood. If we're talking about like the back and sides of that ukulele, that one's kind of expensive. So you
Right.
don't want to mess up those, but you work up to that,
Right.
but, and don't be afraid. I don't know why my dog is barking right now, but he is. Um, don't be afraid to ask for help, because a lot of people uh, have been there and done that and said, hey, maybe you should try it this way. I'm the kind of guy that just likes to figure things out the hard way and not do the easy way. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think, just like even with my job with selling real estate, there's some things that I just don't know. But I know people that do know that and are professionals in that specific area, whether it's title or escrow or whatever. But definitely collaborate with people as much as you can, because you'll grow from that. And it's just like sitting down and learning a song on guitar, whatever tab thing, um, and learning it and failing over and over and over again. Like, I failed on scales for years and years. Now I can do them. Now I can hear that somebody's playing the F sharp or whatever. Like, oh, okay, cool. And the rhythm of it. So I think the biggest word of encouragement is don't quit. Just keep going.
Right.
Just keep it, especially if it sucks. If you're working with clay, I mean, people who, work clay wheels and stuff, they throw the clay down on the ground all the time and just restart until you get what you want. So keep on going.
Yeah, and I think if you love the process, that's the whole reason you're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Just kind of just enjoy the journey of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I had to accept that with my guitar playing. Just all right, it's I'm not
Right.
just playing power and bar chords anymore. So
Yeah.
there's some learning involved now.
Yeah. And then going back to your songs that you wrote with just power chords and bar chords with new chords that you've learned, now you get to improve on something potentially.
Yeah. If I
And
go back.
you know, if you'll go back. You'll go
Maybe
back.
maybe one
When
day.
when your kids are old and they're not in the house, you're gonna be like, I'm bored. And you've interviewed everybody already. You're
Right.
like, I'm bored. Do something.
Let's
Is it?
let's bust out the hardcore tunes again.
Yeah, exactly.
Question number 5. Not all creators would consider themselves artistic. Do you believe you have to be artistic to live a life of creation?
No, I don't. think you have to be artistic to live a life of creation. And I can say I know quite a few engineers that are not very artistic, and a lot of builders that are not artistic at all. They can follow a blueprint and still create. And you can do that within music and within building furniture or cooking or gardening or anything. Like, you don't have to be artistic. It just has to kind of fill you,
Right.
you know, what you're doing, why you're doing it. Because I like it is I think a perfectly good answer. Why are you doing that? Because I like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all created differently and
Yeah.
uniquely. And I don't know if I could live in a world where there's only artistic people.
Yeah. Because
We need some order.
we we have too many feelings. That's why you can't live life just on feelings.
No.
You gotta have yeah, you gotta have roads. Just imagine
Right.
if only creative people we wouldn't have roads.
No.
Not at least not straight ones. They'd be bumpy and windy
Right. Well, it's
for sure.
they'd be creating emotions within you.
Exactly. It's like those roads when you drive up like from here to Mammoth and what is it? I forget the freeway. Three, whatever it is.
395.
Yeah. Is it 395 the whole way?
Yeah.
Where you got a couple of ways of the,
Yeah.
pit in your stomach. So it does create emotion for sure. Like I have to pee sort of thing.
Question number 6. Um, is there an experience or a time in your life where you realized you were a creator?
Think it's when, let's see. Yeah. I think probably the first like table that I built. It was really cool. I'm like, look what I've done. I can use this. This is great. And then
Right.
you move on and do more and more and more and fail more, burn half of the things that you make uh, with wood. And lately, I've been a lot more creative with not necessarily songwriting, but progression writing. Just different movements on guitar and stuff like that. So that's something that's come along quite a bit more lately. Just being more creative in that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, probably 15 years ago, and now I've realized, I'm actually okay at,
Right.
at music. I'm pretty good and I enjoy it. So yeah,
Well, there could be like different stages of your art since you are a multiple faceted creator. There could be like your moment of a table, you're like, okay, I can do woodworking.
right,
And then you hit a moment where you're like, oh, I can play guitar or I can write
right,
a song.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think we could have multiple stages. And I
yeah,
think that would even be a sign of, you know, growth and milestones as you go
yeah,
to.
yeah. I think also just kind of realizing like if he could do it, I could do it too. Why not? Might not be as cool, right? Like painting, not a chance.
Right.
I try to paint, like I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
But
I I always say like, me taking the time to write a song, record it, and put it on Spotify.
uh,
If nothing else, someone can hear that and go, "Well, I play better than him. I think I can do it." You know,
like I've served in some way, shape, or
right? I'm
form.
promoting the arts by encouraging people that they are better.
Yeah. Come on, stop putting yourself down. You're good.
I'm just saying that it's like when people see other people do it,
Right.
I think it's encouraging.
Yeah. And I've always thought that way too, like whatever it is. That's why I took on the endeavor of building a guitar. Right. And I was like, well, these guys can do it. How do we do it? And you do all the research. Like it was almost as much fun building the tools to build the guitar.
Right.
There's some things you look at and you go, "Ooh, I made that like a Fox style bending machine, which has 320-volt or watt, whatever it is, light bulbs in it that helps heat up the wood so you can bend it. And we built that. That
Right,
was cool. So now, if I ever get back to it,
right,
I can make more than one.
right.
Who knows? Who knows if that'll happen? But yeah.
Yeah, I talked to someone about, you know, my friend Charlie gave me a pipe, and I
Uh-huh.
went and it was an estate pipe, so it's a used and probably
Uh-huh.
hadn't been, cleaned.
Right.
So I went in a deep dive of how do you clean a pipe, and
Yeah.
I probably enjoyed the act of cleaning it more than I
More than
enjoyed
smoking
smoking
it.
it.
Yeah.
I was like, I bought, I think, like 3 or 4 different flavored, like different types of tobaccos. I'm like, it all tastes the same.
Right. Yeah. It does. It's just more like we were saying earlier, just more of the intentionality of that, which helps you get creative, right?
Right. And the cleaning of the pipe, it was just like it was so satisfying to me.
Yeah. I recently went through and sharpened all my knives, and the satisfaction of sharpening my knives to like paper sharp, kind of cut paper was so good. And it was the process. So fun.
Yeah.
And then knowing that I can do it again when it gets dull
Right.
is cool.
Question number 7. Um, was there a family member or a friend encouraging you to pursue your passion for creation?
Yeah, yeah. Most of my family does, but mostly my dad. My dad, who also is very creative and always writing songs, preaching, whatever it is that he's doing. He's also built a ukulele. He's built 2 ukuleles now, and just always doing something different. So he encouraged me in 2 ways. One, by just watching him, you know, growing up, and then two, by saying, "Hey, let's do it. Looks like you've got some skills. Let's do this together. Let's do this together." Whatever. So yeah, yeah, my dad is a big encourager of creativity.
Yeah. So now that puts pressure on you and I
Hmm.
to be the
Yeah,
encouragers for our
yeah,
boys because I
exactly.
would I would say my dad was encouraged me to
Yeah.
pursue music and
Hmm.
supported me in my decision to do photography in college and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean both my parents, but my dad was a musician himself, so
Yeah.
and he would encourage us. He didn't force anything on us, but just
Yeah.
kind of
Your dad
made it
plays
available.
trumpet, right?
Yeah, he did. Not anymore,
But
but
trumpet players tend to be some of the best musicians ever.
yeah,
They just know it. I don't know why it's trumpet that is that way.
yeah. I mean,
I
he
don't
could
know,
play
but
piano. He played trumpet, piano, like the tin whistle recorder.
mm,
Because he was a music teacher in
hmm,
elementary school, so he had a lot of like base knowledge of
right.
several instruments. All right, question number 8. Not
Moving on.
not everyone gets paid to create something they are passionate about. Where do you see the value in people still pursuing their passions?
I think it goes back to the first question. What does it mean to live a life of creation? Like, if you're not pursuing your passion or anything like that, that doesn't mean like drop everything that you're doing to do your passions to not get paid. But I mean, we all need an outlet of some sort. Like you said, gardening, or me playing guitar, you playing guitar, all of that. We all need it, and it's. I'm probably never going to make money from music. Never going to be a professional musician, but I love it, and it certainly calms me down in a lot of situations. And like a lot of people are passionate about snowboarding. Go. do it. A lot of people are passionate about surfing or bike riding or whatever. People are passionate about figuring out what that plant is over there that just jumped at me. Like let's do whatever the passion is, do it. Because if you're
Right.
not passionate, it just seems boring to me.
Right.
But but that's a me thing, I guess.
Right. And I think, the importance of figuring out what your passions are, even if you're
Yeah.
not getting paid for it,
Yeah.
are
And it's
important.
great. It would be great to get paid for all of it and just being able to do your own thing,
Right.
you know.
But
But
then
again,
I think you're on you know, if you are getting paid to do all your passions, it may
then
turn
you're
into a
bored.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then you're bored.
So
Don't want to do that anymore.
it's almost nice to be free from the monetary
Yeah,
confined of, a job
right.
sometimes,
Yeah, I agree.
because you have that freedom to be, you know, escaping that world a little bit sometimes.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And I need to escape world sometimes.
Exactly. So you
We all do.
pursue your passions.
Exactly. See, you get it.
Question 9. How can you encourage others to live a life of creation and to see the value in the act of creation?
How can I encourage others to live a life of creation and see value in a life of creation? It's that's kind of a tough one too, right? Because you can't tell somebody to be creative. They either are or they're not, or they want to be, and they want to be passionate about it. I'm getting back to that question because I need to understand it a little bit more. Not understand it, but you know what I mean. I think uh, what I would say is just do the things, just do it. You know,
Right.
to steal Nike's slogan, just go and do it. That's it. It could turn into something you get paid for, and that's cool, and
Right.
that's great. And don't get discouraged when it doesn't work out exactly the way that you thought it was going to be. If you're a sculptor, eh, sculpture doesn't look anything like the person or a tattoo artist. Let's do a tattoo artist, and you're doing a portrait, and it doesn't look good. Maybe keep on doing tattoos on pigs for a while.
Right.
don't don't
Yeah.
don't start that on somebody who's going to be there forever. But don't get discouraged either, because you just get better the more and more
Right.
you play. We were watching The Last Dance, the first episode of The Last Dance. Do you know what that is? It's the Michael Jordan story,
I
and
don't think
how
I've
he
seen that one.
just it's good, but how he just consistently worked to get better, to get better. He didn't just he's I mean, obviously some people have natural talent
Right.
and they're just good at it, but they hit a certain point where natural talent isn't
Right.
enough anymore. And you just work and work and work and work at towards whatever it is you want. And then it becomes second nature and it becomes fun, a lot more fun. And
Right.
sometimes you miss the old times where you had to figure it out rather than just knowing how to do it. And you can do something that took you 3 days in an hour
Right.
now because you just know exactly
Right.
what it is. So the encouragement would be to just keep on going,
Right.
keep
Yeah.
going.
I feel
Don't let
like,
it discourage you.
yeah, I feel like I'm kind of reached some of that in my job, because
Yeah,
it is repetitive in a lot of ways.
right,
And, it used to take me a long time. Now I can knock things out really quick.
right.
So for me now, the challenge is, okay, I know I can knock this out.
Hmm.
How, all right, get that done and move on to something a little more challenging,
Hmm.
like lighting wise or something.
Right.
Or how can, like, my next goal would be, how can I get my team to get to that level, my
Right.
level of
So then you
speed
get
with it.
to a point of teaching, right?
Right,
You know, now you're the teacher,
right,
and that can be hard too, right? Because you're like, no, 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 that's not how you do it. No, 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 no.
Right.
You do it this way, but this is how I do it. That's where a lot of creative people have a lot of problem,
Right.
right? Like, no, this is how I do it.
Question 10, last one. Um, how would you like to see yourself grow as a creator?
I would like to just be awesome at everything. I would
So,
like to be able to create absolutely everything at any moment. That's really actually it's true. I'm not just trying to be funny, but I really just want to grow into being able to just do anything at all. Even if it comes down like to the house. There's things that I don't know how to do in my house. I have friends who can teach me how to do these things, but I'm not an engineer that knows air conditioning. But I know the basics. But I want to see myself really being able to in my own garage build my own guitar. That's what I want. And one that's playable and sounds good.
right.
Cause,
Two key points right there.
yeah, the other ones can just go in a case and never be touched by human hands ever again. But you know, that's something that I would absolutely love to do without any help. You know,
Right. Get to the point where you can just
yeah,
do
just
it.
know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like we were talking about earlier about recipes. For food and sauces, and just knowing what works well here, what works, what are the flavors we're working with here,
Right.
and just being able to do it, and also being willing to fail, being
Right.
okay with the failure.
Yeah. I
So
mean, that's the growth, right? You
yeah,
learn from the failure sometimes,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. I hate failure, but I like it. And then the older we get, the more experience we get in failure and knowing, okay, that's where I did this wrong, and we get really good. This has nothing to do with creativity. It could though.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely does. We get really good at apologizing creatively.
You're like,
That was
sorry.
a piece of artwork. Yeah, it's no longer just a, I'm sorry. It's, it's
I
so
meant to
much
do
better.
that.
Yeah, I did this on purpose, and here's why.
I was feeling this at this moment.
Yeah, the bumps, and the bruises.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, thank you for taking the time to answer these questions.
absolutely.
And we'll
That's why
have
you.
you on.
That's why you take. That's why you take the time to ask Jeremy.